Before we proceed, I would just like to give a quick shout out to a friend of the channel, GrimDark Narrator. If you're looking for a pretty much unending source of content, as he adds new videos almost every day and covers a wide range of unique topics, then feel free to check him out. Link to his channel is in the description below. And now, let's begin. The Salamanders are an honourable and highly respected chapter of Space Marines. They are the guardians of humanity, clad in dragonic green power armour, and have dedicated themselves to defending the Imperium. The Salamanders were members of the 18th Legion of Space Marines. Like their brothers, they were created by the Emperor on Terra and formed part of the original first founding of all Space Marine legions. Being a relatively small legion of the Emperor's Astartes, the Salamanders employ tactics focused on drawing their enemies into favourable engagements, where they can remove any numbers advantage. The Salamanders are renowned for their remorseless determination and refusal to yield in battle. Throughout their history, this desire to fight to the bitter end has led to instances where they have refused to withdraw and have become overwhelmed, leading to very costly engagements. Although this reinforced their reputation for unwavering devotion, the losses they incurred began to take a heavy toll. When the Salamanders were finally united with their Primarch Vulcan, he took up the mantle of command, and his adopted homeworld became theirs. Seeking to secure the future of his legion, Vulcan brought great wisdom and focus to his sons, giving them purpose and direction in the pursuit of battle. The Salamanders are true inheritors of the fiery legacy of their Primarch, and share his physical traits and ideals of self-reliance and personal trial. They possess the fortitude of Vulcan to endure the most horrific wounds as they strive to temper their resolve upon the anvil of war. Enemies who face the Salamanders must suffer the wrath of Vulcan himself, as he lives on through the unbridled fury of his sons. Vulcan may have disappeared from the Imperium, but the Salamanders still have hope that their Primarch will one day return, for one with such immense strength and endurance does not so easily fade into darkness. Master artisans and skilled warriors born of fire, the Salamanders' volcanic might and towering strength makes them formidable combatants, relentless on the attack and stoic in defense. They are noted for their inherent resistance to heat, partially due to their upbringing on the world of Nocturne, which allows them to wade through roaring infernos unscathed. The Salamanders' skill with incineration technology is unsurpassed. They make extensive use of flamer-type weapons to purge their enemies in plumes of cleansing fire, honouring the spirit of Nocturne itself. Melter guns are a favoured and deadly anti-armour weapon in the hands of a Salamander. They fire an intense superheated beam that can carve through the void-hardened bulkheads of warships with little effort. The Salamanders have learned to leverage their unique strengths to overcome their foes, even when severely outnumbered, standing firm in the face of death. They have honed their skills in short-ranged firefights through a millennia of constant warfare, where the echoes of bolter fire and the smell of burning promethium accompany the demise of even the fiercest enemy advances. When in assaults, the Salamanders hack down their enemies with finely crafted chainswords and pummel them into dust with crackling thunderhammers. Though they excel at close-ranged firefights, the Salamanders are masters of many forms of war and make use of a wide variety of Space Marine weapons and strategies, enabling them to overcome the horrors of the galaxy, whether it be rampaging hordes or colossal monsters and engines of war. The Salamanders hail from the fiery world of Nocturne. Its surface is littered with millions of interlinked volcanoes and dark mountain ranges. Its vast sandplains are smouldered black, and the smell of its small, sulphurous seas washes over the mainland. As the darkness of night falls upon the planet, volcanic eruptions fill its skies with flashing light as jets of superheated gas illuminate the bellowing pyroclastic ash clouds above. The surface of Nocturne is moulded by ever-shifting lava channels and tectonic activity. It's also bathed in high levels of radiation, sometimes referred to as the Furnace Invisible by the chapter's apothecaries, which has interacted with their gene seed over time, causing their skin to become charred like obsidian and eyes to be stained a glowing blood red. The salamanders proudly display their unique features, for they symbolize their noble heritage and represent the physical attributes of Vulcan himself. In addition to the turbulent environmental conditions, the planet is inhabited by fearsome predatory lifeforms that stalk its large flatlands and dwell among the mountainous ridges. They are clad in thick dragon-like scales and have long, vicious talons. These monstrous creatures are Nocturne's original salamanders from which Vulcan's warriors took their name. The Salamanders Chapter symbol is derived from the skull of the very largest of these creatures, which was defeated by Vulcan himself. Such a harsh environment has seen Nocturne designated as a death world by the Imperium, and has served to toughen the salamanders who live there, with every day being a test of survival. Nocturne is orbited by its large moon Prometheus. Once every 15 years, the orbit path of Prometheus passes so close to Nocturne that the resultant gravitational forces threaten to tear the planet apart. This event is known as the Time of Trial, and it is the ultimate test of endurance. During the Time of Trial, the levels of radiation and seismic activity rise to devastating levels. The immense, churning thunderstorms gather overhead, and thousands of volcanoes erupt as the tectonic plates buckle and crack. The salamanders view this cataclysmic event as a trial for not only themselves, but for the planet itself. Following the Time of Trial, the world is reshaped and emerges with a new lease of life. New mineral deposits are revealed, allowing a fresh supply of raw materials to the chapter forges. The indigenous population of Nocturne have established sanctuaries in regions of geological stability that are capable of withstanding the wrath of such an upheaval. These sanctuaries are sacred places that offer shelter to the population during the Time of Trial. Most Space Marines of the Salamanders live amongst the people of Nocturne and have their company barracks stationed within Nocturne's sanctuary cities. Vulcan's teachings of compassion towards his adopted family are carried on through the chapter as they provide the local populace with wisdom and guidance, as well as protection. The veterans of the First Company and the chapter's command don't live on Nocturne. They reside within the chapter's fortress monastery on the moon of Prometheus, which is far more stable than its parent world, making it a fitting location for the chapter's stronghold. The moon also holds the chapter's vast armory, and is protected by towering bastions fitted with heavily fortified weapon arrays and a colossal defense laser called the Eye of Vulcan. This relic weapon utilizes ancient and little understood magfield lensing technology to unleash searing lances of unrivaled fury. No other weapon in the Salamander's arsenal possesses such immense destructive power. Surrounding Prometheus are the orbital docking stations that harbour the chapter's fleet of battle barges, strike cruisers, and rapid deployment vessels that deliver the Emperor's swift retribution across the stars. One of the flagship vessels of the Salamander's fleet is the forge ship Chalice of Fire, which produces many of the Salamander's unique and finely crafted pieces of technology, much to the envy of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Although the Salamanders adhere to the organisational structure of the Codex Astartes, Vulcan ensured that his legion continued to honour its close ties to their homeworld of Nocturne and the culture and values of its people, a legacy which continues to shape the chapter to this day. In ancient times, Nocturne's people were originally divided and ruled as 7 separate tribes called Great Houses. Upon Vulcan's arrival, he united the Great Houses under his protection and wise leadership. To honour their loyalty and heritage, he organised the structure of the Salamander's Legion into 7 Great Houses, which formed a strong bond between the people of Nocturne and the Astartes warriors. The Salamanders chapter retains this unique structure of 7 Great Houses, but they are now known and organised as companies. The smaller battle line squads follow the same aspects as many other Space Marine chapters, but the Salamanders deviate slightly in their larger overall structure, with their companies containing 12 squads rather than the 10 found in a truly Codex-compliant chapter, such as the Ultramarines. These larger companies are necessary for the Salamanders to better withstand the additional elements of attrition faced not only in war, but also from their very homeworld. The captain of the first company also serves as chapter master, another unique aspect of the Salamanders' organisational structure. The chapter master bears the title of Regent of Prometheus and holds the responsibility for ensuring that the flame of Vulcan's legacy continues to burn. This position is currently held by Tushan, bearer of the Fire Drake mantle and wielder of Deathfire and the mighty Thunderhammer known as Stormbearer. Although he has only served as chapter master for a relatively short time, he has earned the respect of his fellow Salamanders, as well as from the Ultramarines, Blood Angels, and citizens of Armageddon for his valiant deeds during the Second War for Armageddon. Tushan led his chapter in the defense of the Hive World against the massive Orc Warg of Ghazghkull Thraka. The chapter master and his fire drakes were responsible for holding back 1,000-strong Orc assault for 4 days on one of the few bridges across the Styges River, cutting off their reinforcements. While the Blood Angels descended to meet the Orcs head-on, and the Ultramarines took up defensive positions to defend the colossal hive cities of Armageddon, the chapter master of the Salamanders prioritised the protection of the Imperial supply convoys and civilians, keeping them safe from further casualties. Tushan leads by shining example and teaches his warriors that the first duty of the Space Marines is, and always shall be, to protect the citizens of the Imperium. At the end of the campaign on Armageddon, the senior chapter master Dante sought out Tushan and praised him in front of his assembled Blood Angels. This was a great honour for the Salamanders to receive the respect and admiration of such a revered and legendary commander. The chapter master's officers have all earned their positions through the crucible of battle. They are heroes of the chapter whose inspiring leadership stokes the fire of the Salamanders' mental and physical resolve. Librarians, chaplains and apothecaries go to war alongside their brethren, bolstering their resilience with psychic might, spiritual strength, and medical support. The Salamanders' Armory supplies the chapter with fearsome battle tanks and other combat vehicles to break enemy formations, and transports to safely move troops across the battlefield, redeploying them to where they are needed. Gunships and artillery provide the Salamanders with vital fire support as the rest of their forces advance with relentless fury. Like many chapters of Space Marines, the first company comprises the most accomplished veteran warriors of their chapter. They have accumulated tens or even hundreds of years of frontline experience and have endured through every challenge the enemies of the Imperium have laid before them. They often operate in small strike forces and have access to specialised war gear, such as suits of ancient Terminator armour or special issue bolt guns which they wield with superior skill and precision. Since the Ultima founding, which saw the introduction of the Primaris Space Marines, the newer generation of genetically engineered warriors have begun to advance into the ranks of the First Company, earning their place many times over. The Second, Third and Fourth Companies are standard battle companies, which form the primary fighting strength of the chapter's campaigns, while the 5th and 6th Companies act as reserves, which can reinforce other elements of the force, or replenish any losses the main battle companies might suffer. Commanders draw upon the vast skills and tactical flexibility of these companies to form carefully crafted strike forces to meet a variety of different threats. These strike forces can be deployed across battlefields which span thousands of planets, enabling the Salamanders to fight dozens of smaller wars simultaneously. The Scouts form the 7th and final company of the Salamanders, specialising in reconnaissance missions and disrupting the enemy's plans through shock assaults. The newly induced neophytes of the 7th Company, who fight as Scouts, are supported by 12 squads of experienced Vanguard Space Marines. These warriors make use of advanced and flexible patterns of armour and weaponry to stalk their prey before unleashing a well-timed precision strike. Before Vulcan's disappearance, he scattered 9 artifacts of the Salamanders across the galaxy in an attempt to prevent them from all falling into the hands of the enemies of the Imperium. The challenge of retrieving these artifacts falls to an individual known as the Forgefather. The position of Forgefather is an honourable but demanding role. It requires unrelenting determination, unwavering endurance, and a resolute focus at seeking the lost legacy of their Primarch. The burden of such a task falls to Vulkan He'stan, the current Forgefather. He'stan was the former captain of the 4th Company until the day when he was chosen by the chapter's ruling council to take the mantle of Forgefather. When selected, all his former titles and responsibilities were cast aside, including his name. The ancient rituals of the Salamanders dictate that those who seek the path of Vulcan shall proudly bear his name in place of their own. He'stan had served the chapter for nearly 100 years before being selected for this role. He had shown to possess an enduring spirit and to be a versatile leader with an ability to adapt and respond to rapidly changing situations. This allowed him to overcome trials few others could prepare for in advance. The Forgefather now serves his chapter as an embodiment of the very best qualities of a salamander. He'stan ventures into the dark regions of the galaxy, searching for clues to the location of additional artifacts found within the Tome of Fire. Many of his searches have taken him to treacherous locations that have been overrun by foul Xenos creatures or tainted by the hand of chaos. Such places can only be investigated once they have been cleansed by the fire and blade of Nocturne's warriors. The Salamanders would endure any hardship to retrieve Vulcan's legacy, believing an old prophecy that their Primarch will return to them once all 9 of his artifacts have been salvaged and assembled. Only 4 more of the 9 relics still remain to be found, and the others have already been obtained by He'stan's predecessors. He'stan himself is the keeper of 3, which he wields in Vulcan's honour. These sacred artifacts include the Spear of Vulcan, a master-crafted halberd once wielded by the Primarch himself. This mighty power weapon has a unique incandescent blade designed for piercing through ceramite armour. He also wields the Gauntlet of the Forge. This exquisitely crafted gauntlet has a built-in heavy flamer that washes molten rage over all who stand before it. Draped over his shoulders is the legendary cloak Adrax Mantle. The cloak is lined with hardened drake scales that provide He'stan with a near impenetrable shield. The other 2 relics are valuable beyond measure, and so are stationed in orbit around the moon of Prometheus. The forge ship Chalice of Fire provides the chapter with a vast forge to craft their unique weapons of war, whilst the Eye of Vulcan defense laser keeps an eternal watch over the fortress monastery on Prometheus. The remaining undiscovered artifacts are only known in name: the Engine of Woes, the Obsidian Chariot, the Song of Entropy, and the Unbound Flame. Many believe that the empiric disruption caused by the opening of the Great Rift, the tear in reality to another dimension, has rendered the Forgefather's quest impossible. But yet, from this dark catastrophe, a fresh clue has revealed itself. A clue that hints at the location of the Unbound Flame. Another notable character of the Salamanders is the captain of the 3rd Company, Adrax Agatone. Known as Nocturne's Hammer, Adrax is both an inspiring captain and a potent warrior. He possesses a very stable and level-headed mind, but yet attacks with an unrelenting fury in battle. As a son of Vulcan, he is a skilled craftsman who has forged a powerful set of war gear and weaponry that he carries into battle, proudly displaying the Salamander's masterful heritage. His hammer, Malleus Noctum, is swung with poise and backed by his mighty strength, shattering those who meet with its brunt. His hand flamer, Drakis, spits blazing flames like breath from a dragon, engulfing his foes in fiery death. His Iridian Drakehide cloak is lined in tough, dragon-like scales that provides him with an impressive layer of protection. This magnificent set of war gear combines to make Adrax an incredibly focused force of destruction. Adrax is known to apply a merciless approach to mission objectives. If a task must be undertaken for the good of the Imperium's people, no matter how brutal that deed might seem, he will see it through with the knowledge that a weapon is only as noble as the cause in which it is wielded. Adrax always keeps his mission objective at the front of his mind, directing orders to his warriors whilst driving a relentless path towards whatever strategic initiative he has his sights on. Since becoming the captain of the 3rd Company, Adrax has led his warriors into some of the most horrific battle zones ever witnessed by the Salamanders, ensuring they remain true to the chapter's noble purpose. When in battle, Adrax strikes hard and true, never tiring and never relenting in his ambitions. In this way, he has burned out the beginnings of countless rebellions across the galaxy, his bloody victories sparing the wider Imperium from a fate far worse. The Salamanders possess many relics in their armory, but perhaps one of the most unique and venerable is actually a dreadnought known as the Iron Dragon. This ancient chassis has been constructed with expertly forged armor plating and is powered by an experimental thermal reactor. It is believed to be the initial prototype of the ironclad pattern dreadnought, as it bears many similarities to this older construct. The Iron Dragon is said to have been crafted by the hand of Vulcan himself. The body is engraved with symbols of the Promethean cult of Nocturne, and its unique Dreadfire claws are powerful enough to crumple the thickest of armor plating. Each Dreadfire claw is equipped with a fearsome Dreadfire heavy flamer which can melt through even heat-resistant armor. The chassis is also fitted with close-ranged flame projectors, which are used as a secondary defensive system that wreathes the dreadnought in burning wrath, incinerating anything that strays too close. The Iron Dragon has seen many dark and terrible wars in its long history of service, which has taken a toll on the dreadnought's machine spirit, leaving it full of turbulent anomalies and making it prone to violence. Only the strongest of souls can survive the interment process with such a relentless machine spirit, and so a fallen battle brother is only placed within its ancient sarcophagus in the direst of circumstances, in times of great need. Just how many Salamanders have perished when a neural link with the Iron Dragon machine spirit is attempted remains unspoken. The current occupant of this mighty dreadnought is Bray'arth Ashmantle, a hero of the Salamanders from a time long past. Bray'arth was once the captain of the 4th Company, but suffered terrible wounds when holding off a horde of gene stealers single-handedly, buying time whilst the remaining members of his company escaped the potential massacre. The decision to inter the mortally wounded captain within the Iron Dragon was not made lightly. The lords of the Promethean cult saw that the fires of Nocturne burned brightly within his soul, and agreed that his strength would be required to avert disaster in the wars to come. The dark and violent machine spirit of the Iron Dragon, combined with Bray'arth's strength of will, made him a great asset in the crucible of battle, one that the chapter has needed many times over. With superhuman strength and resilience, the Salamanders bestride the terrifying battlefields of the galaxy, bearing cleansing fire and titanic might to hammer their adversaries into ruin.